to a certain level, I understand McMenu to be saying that the people have been fed propaganda.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what
but it is not exactly the case that CDD has gone to do propaganda.
Okay.
I try to analyze the statement, and
that's the way I understood it.
That's the way I want to appreciate
that
it.
People have been fed propaganda.
He says,
that's why they are responding that way.
Yes,
it is like the case where Yaboabia Samoa just joined us, and we'll come to you soon.
Yeah.
It is like the case where Yaboabia Samoa responds to President Mahama and says, times are not hard. It is rather the NDC or people like Mahama who is making you feel or believe that times are hard, but times are not.
You see, that interpretation even makes matters worse. If you say that the corruption concerns that Ghanaians have, that even now you have all these, respected international, analysts talking about, it is perception, then it is even an insult. It means that you are totally oblivious. You are failing to recognize. And you see, the first part of the solution, which to me is more fundamental, is to acknowledge that there is a problem. If you are failing to acknowledge
sitting governments don't acknowledge.
If you are failing to acknowledge that there is a problem,
sitting governments never acknowledge.
I mean, if you take
you have been information minister, and you know that when the corruption perception index come out, the last thing you do is to make an acknowledgement that yes, it's right. We are as corrupt as the survey says. You don't do that.
Well, that is wrong. You see, you should be able to accept that this survey, this research is cause for concern. We accept it. We will work on it. And you can go further to talk about what you are doing. But where you are dismissive and you say it's all propaganda, the people are being fed with propaganda. The PDS scandal is not propaganda. The Ameri Innovation contract, which will have caused this country a loss of some $800 million. It's not propaganda. The over 5 million tons of fuel that got missing at Bost. Up to now, nobody has been held liable. It's not propaganda. The Australia visa scandal, that's not propaganda. I mean, there have been very palpable, tangible, concrete examples of corruption. The president himself has had to fire people. He's had to promise investigations, except that often these investigations lead us nowhere. Nobody is held liable. As we speak, nobody has been made to account for the Australia visa scandal. Then the president's own conduct. Look at how the president hounded out the Auditor General. This is not perception. These are things that happened in real terms. Civil society organizations were up in arms. They even proceeded to court. They counseled the president that what you are doing is wrong. This is a celebrated Auditor General of high repute and anti-corruption czar. His only mistake, Yaudam Levo's only mistake, or the only crime he committed, was to dare to surcharge the senior minister. We all know what happened in this country. That is not perception. That is not propaganda. These are real matters that happen. What did the special prosecutor say?
The senior minister fought the surcharge in court legally, and he won. What do you say about that?
But for daring to even go after the senior minister. And you see, this is a fearless Auditor General who is going after everybody. I know of former appointees, former ministers who he has surcharged. Some of them are even in court challenging that. He has not spared anybody. You can't say this is somebody who probably is biased or is partisan or had an axe to grind with the current administration. No, we all celebrate him. And those are the kind of people we need. People who head institutions and are fearless, are bold. It doesn't matter who you are, what office you occupy, they will do their work legally. And see how he was treated. The circumstances leading to the resignation of the special prosecutor. What did Martin Amidu himself say about, he says that the biggest mistake he made in his life was to believe that the president genuinely wanted to fight corruption, because that was what led him to accept that position. This is a man who had been celebrated by the president, by the current administration. in his epistles now, he says that, look, the mother serpent of corruption is a person who has disappointed him the most, the president. So you see, it is even more affronting when persons who we can count on to be truthful, to be honest, to show respect to us, try to just be dismissive and to say that, oh, it's all propaganda.
Okay,
we cannot win the corruption war.
Well, you are counting these matters and you know, attributing them to the NPP and they suffering, if you like, the perception, so to speak. But they will tell you that the present matter of the shift and switch case, this was such a bad deal that they inherited, and they have come to correct it. A big deal. So why? They are rather protecting the public purse. And this was a huge protection of the public purse. You don't agree?
I certainly do not agree, because you see, if you look at the scope of work, what was renegotiated and what Gibbs was asked to do, I am told, I'm reliably informed, that is not the original scope, that Gibbs is now carrying out a smaller scope of work. So you are basically comparing apples and oranges.
Just hold on for me quickly.